I wanted to share one of the um, deepest meditation experiences that I have ever had, and this took place back in about 99 or so. Um, and I had to take a business trip to Athens, Greece, and I was there, I don't know, 5 days or something. So twice a day, I would meditate, just like on my laying down on my back in my hotel, um, on the bed in the hotel room. And I this just came into my mind like when I was there. I didn't plan it, but I just thought what I want to do is meditate so that my consciousness gets away from where it is normally and during the day. So it's usually, my consciousness is usually looking outward, right? So I want to turn inward, right? And then um, I'm usually centered in my head. I want to move my awareness down into my torso, into my body, right? Get out of my mind, in other words, right? So I set about doing this in the meditation, and what I was doing is it was all intuitive, but I started basically like cycling. So I would control my breathing. I have another video that I did a while ago on direct breathing, right? So I would direct my breathing around my body. I'd start like here, like where I was, my consciousness was at the moment, like my forehead. And then I would breathe and bring the wave of energy up to here. Do it like 3 times in a row. And then the next time I'd bring it down to like just below that, to like my nose. The next time, do that 3 times, then to my lips. And I would go all the way around my body, all the way down to my feet, the bottom of my feet, come back up the back. And I think I had a term I created for this called a scan, like a cycle or a scan, right? So I do it around my whole body. Then, then after my body started to feel really relaxed, I went into my head. So I started just cycling around, going down the front of my face, through my neck, and up the back, and going around like this. And then eventually, after I cycled for a while, it's almost like I started to sink into my head. My awareness did. And I swear to God, it eventually became like this pinhead of consciousness in the center of my head. Okay. And then it's sort of the whole process took on a life of its own. And very slowly, it started to move down the center of my head. And I was basically, like directing my consciousness over time, right? It didn't happen in like 3 minutes. It was like, you know, I probably did the scan for 20 minutes, right? And the entire meditations were taking like 45 minutes. So I basically had like 25 minutes to move from the center of the head all the way down to like my chest. So it's moving at a very slow pace. But here's what happened. When it got to my throat, I felt an excruciating pain. It felt like visually, it felt like there was a tight knot, I imagine like a rope with a tight knot in it. And it got stuck there. So it stopped moving down. But I knew if I kept breathing into that area and relaxing, it would eventually release and it would keep moving. And that's what happened. So after it felt like 15 minutes, all of a sudden I just felt this tension release, like a knot or a net was being released, and it started to move down. And what I noticed was as it moved away from my head, I started to lose my senses. Like I couldn't hear anything outside. All I could hear was what was inside. And as I got through the throat and down into here, I could hear like my my pulse and my heartbeat. It both sounded and felt like I was like this tiny little thing inside a whale. So it was almost as though I were inside. Imagine if you shrunk down to a tiny size and you were inside an individual vein. And like with every heartbeat, the whole thing is like blubbering around you and moving in this rhythm. That's what it felt like I was being knocked around by this wave. And then the next thing that happened was as I started to get closer and closer to my heart, it petrified me. And I literally felt like I was either going to die or I'd get lost and I'd never be able to get back to consciousness. It was absolutely petrifying. So I did these meditations twice a day for the 5 days I was there, and every time it was the same. And when I get down here, it was too scary, and I'd have to wake myself up. It was just too scary. But it was this amazing. It was just incredible. I've never been able to get that deep since then, and to repeat that. So that made me wonder if there's something about Athens, because we know it's a special place in history, right? Maybe it's a vortex that's like this special energy there. I don't know, but this this was almost like a life-changing experience. What I experienced there really woke me up to like, wow, it, it's one of the many inner energy experiences I've had that made me feel like this whole realm we have no idea about, you know. So I'd be interested if anyone has any comments on this or if you've had some kind of experience you can relate to it. I'd love to hear it. Thanks.